Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best Midfield Fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan and it's time for our final tier list video of this season. Yes, the Gameweek 38 transfer tier list video is about to hit your screens, guys. If you've been enjoying this series this season, make sure you do drop a like, do subscribe if you're new around here. Let's get started. So yes, guys, very keen to get going on the final tier list video of this season. Wow, it's been a wild ride indeed. Let's start ranking some players, 30 most popular transfers in at time of recording. And we're going to put them on this tier list, starting off with the 30th most popular transfer right now, which is a young Tyrick Mitchell, who's been having a fantastic season. But up against Aston Villa, I think we have to give him the optional kind of status here. He does have a little bit of attacking threat on that left-hand side. However, do prefer Munoz if you're going for a Crystal Palace defender this week, because Munoz is basically a striker. Mitchell pretty much a little bit wider there potentially. And I think Aston Villa, even though they have been really poor recently, you would be depending on attacking returns from your Crystal Palace defenders, as we do expect goals from Aston Villa as well. Robertson going to be another optional pick here. He plays against Wolves this game week at home. Decent chance of a clean sheet. However, I don't fully trust the Liverpool defence this season. And I think maybe there's just potential to go elsewhere. He's definitely an interesting differential though, and if you have the money, you could afford to go for him. But at that price, and if you have to make multiple changes to afford him, I'm not sure I would go there personally. But definitely an option, definitely a differential, definitely going to be an okay pick. Next up, Saka. Now, just be aware of Saka's injury status at the moment. Assuming he's okay, I think he is a good transfer up against Everton, which isn't going to be the easiest fixture in the world, and I do expect Arsenal really just to try and consolidate a win rather than go all out with the big guns. I don't think Arsenal will score 4 or 5 goals in this game. Everton are just too good defensively, aren't they? And they won't be looking to make a fool out of themselves this game week. So Saka could be pretty decent. A guy on penalties there. As long as he's fit, he could be okay. But I'm not sure he has the incredible form at the moment to justify moving too much around to go for him. Definitely a good transfer, no more than that. Another player I really like is Eberechi Eze. I think actually he could even be better than Saka, particularly if it does mean that you don't have to use multiple transfers. I wouldn't break the team apart to get Saka, but you could get Eze quite easily at that 6 million price tag. He's been in some good form. Crystal Palace look amazing at the moment, and if Aston Villa keep performing so poorly, particularly in the defensive areas. Aston Villa really struggling defensively recently. I wonder if this could be a big score. I'm keeping a big eye out on the Aston Villa situation, because it could be by game week 38 they have nothing to play for anymore. They may really down tools, and therefore Crystal Palace will have a huge opportunity. Now, I know a lot of people will say Crystal Palace are a team on the beach as well, but I think they're really just looking to have a really strong end to the season, ready to go into the next season. They look really good at the moment. One of the informed teams of the entire Premier League. Now, Van de Ven is going to go into the avoid section here. I know he's scored well in game week 37 so far, but I don't think that's going to continue. He is a player who has only taken 8 shots all season. He's averaging 3 to 4 games per 1 shot. So he really does not take very many shots. I don't expect him to get more attacking returns every single game week. This is something that's going to be very rare for him. He hasn't even managed 1 XG throughout the whole season so far. So don't let last game week fool you. I think there is better opportunities in a game week 38, which is often a very high scoring game week with a lot of goals going in. You want to be looking probably at the attackers before the defenders. And do we really trust Spurs to keep clean sheets even against Sheffield United? Probably not, to be fair. Next up, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Do prefer him to a Robertson if you can afford to go for him, because we know we've got set pieces from him, which is going to give us extra avenue towards points, and that could be really nice. Now, he is still only optional. Wouldn't put him any higher than that because he is so expensive and he hasn't been a reliable FPL asset over the recent months, or pretty much all season, really. So therefore, we can't really put him any higher than that. But again, an interesting differential at the very least. But like I say, I do prefer to maybe target attackers with this high upside, and one player who definitely fits that bill is Kevin De Bruyne, who I'm going to put in the great transfer category. Now, I know a lot of people are already tripled up on Man City, and that's absolutely fine if you are. I'm sure you've got some great Man City players in your team already, but if you are considering De Bruyne, I think this could be pretty good for you, because West Ham have been terrible defensively, and Man City probably will still score a decent amount of goals in this West Ham game, even if it looks like they've wrapped up the Premier League at 2 or 3-0 up. hey, they'll just keep going because we know Man City are so good at the end of the season. De Bruyne is another player who is amazing typically at the end of seasons as well. And this West Ham team is so poor defensively, there is going to be a huge opportunity for a huge score. If we're saying that game week 38 is a week that provides a lot of goals, this game stands out as a game which could get the most goals of all of the games. So De Bruyne is probably going to be involved in a lot of that. We know what he's like on set pieces, taking a lot of shots from range, playing some really key passes as well. Let's see what he can produce. Next up, Saliba. I think Saliba, given that this is a game against Everton, I don't expect this game to be super high scoring, but I'm pretty confident actually in an Arsenal clean sheet. So Saliba, I think, is at least a good transfer. So we're going to put him in that category. Maybe a little bit expensive. Does well for bonus points, which could be useful if the scoreline is low and there's no other defenders getting attacking returns. It is pretty likely that Saliba could actually be the guy with 3 bonus points in a 1 or 2-0 win for Arsenal. You can definitely see that happening. So I think it's more than good value at 5.9 million, but maybe we still would edge towards some of the other Arsenal defenders given the option. Leno seems a interesting one. Not really sure if I was going to go for a goalkeeper this week. I would go in that direction. Luton and Town away from home. You know, Luton may be effectively relegated, but you know, I don't think they're going to go down without a fight. So I think they probably will score in that game against Fulham. So yeah, I'm not sure I would go there for a goalkeeper. I think there's other options. Similarly, Vicario probably wouldn't go there as a goalkeeper either. I think goalkeeper transfers in general, probably not the way I'd like to go this game week unless you are desperate for a goalkeeper, in which case maybe there's some other directions we can go. Gabriel has got to be at least as good as Saliba, maybe even a great transfer, but we are going to put him in the good transfer category next to Saliba, because Saliba, better chance of bonus, Gabriel, better chance of attacking returns, although against Everton, I can't really see headed chances being a main source of FPL points for Arsenal this game week. Against Everton, and speaking of Everton, Branthwaite straight in the avoid category. Yes, he's been doing very, very well recently. Yes, Everton have been great defensively recently, but they're playing now away from home against Arsenal in the final day of the season with nothing to play for. I don't think this is going to go particularly well. I think there will be goals conceded for Everton. Yes, I can't see it being more than 2 goals. It could be more than 2 goals, but I don't think it's super likely that we'll be conceding more than 2 goals. But, you know, I can definitely see Arsenal winning 2-0 in this game and Branthwaite ending the game on a 1-pointer. Complete waste of a transfer in a big scoring game week that game week 38 often is, and therefore I think we just leave this one. Trossard up next, probably one of the more interesting differentials of this game week, because whenever he plays, he does very, very well. So I think he's definitely optional. If you're looking for a differential, you know, the likes of these defenders we've already spoken about, but if you're looking for a cheap guy in a slightly more attacking position, Trossard, 6.5 million. If you think he's going to play against Everton, could be interesting. But again, be aware that Everton probably won't concede too many goals. Now, Gordon, I think it's probably not the game week to buy him, so I'm going to actually put him at the bottom of the optional category. If you already have him, you could maybe play him. I think a lot of people who do own Gordon will be actually looking to sell him or maybe bench him. So this week, if you are looking to buy Gordon, I think that may be misplaced. Away against Brentford, Gordon doesn't typically perform too well away from home, and Brentford actually putting up some decent defensive numbers recently, and I don't think there's going to be too many goals for Newcastle compared to some of the other opportunities here. So Gordon is going to go down here. I think there's lots of other better, cheap midfielders that you can go for instead. Isak, similar situation, but he does better away from home and also on penalties, which is going to be pretty useful. I think Isak, given the form he's in, has to be at least in the good transfer category. So we're going to put him at the top of the good transfer category. Unless you already have him, though, it's probably not going to be a week to buy him. I think there's going to be better opportunities elsewhere when we're looking to bring in new players. In fact, I've actually seen a few FPL managers actually looking to sell Isak this week, which is quite interesting. I think that's just away fixture against Brentford. It's just not looking too great at the moment. Ollie Watkins up next, away against Crystal Palace. I'm just not convinced by this one. I can definitely see why people would go for him, given the fact that obviously he has been a great scoring FPL asset throughout this whole season. But Aston Villa not looking amazing at the moment. Ollie Watkins, particularly if that top 4 is wrapped up, he's not really going to overexert himself with that England spot on the line for the Euros that he definitely has potential for. So 8.9 million, would I rip apart my team to bring in Ollie Watkins against Crystal Palace, who are in such good form at the moment? Probably not, to be honest. So he's going to go in optional. I can definitely see some appeal there, but I wouldn't be making too much effort to bring him into my team. Now, Palmer against Bournemouth. It's an okay fixture, But if I didn't already have Palmer, again, I don't think he's a player I'd be rushing to buy. He's definitely a good transfer, and definitely a player you would quite like to have in your team. The penalties are always very, very useful to have, which is why any penalty taker is going to be at least a good transfer, really, because you always have that potential, and penalties have been huge this season. They really, really have. So we're going to put him in there. I do worry a little bit about fatigue coming into play by Game Week 38, assuming he also starts the midweek game in Game Week 37. That is a lot of games played recently for Cole Palmer, and although I do think Chelsea will win that game, and Palmer will probably be involved in that win, I don't know if he is going to be a mega scorer in the same way as some other players have potential to be. But he definitely has some potential there, and if you don't have him already, you might consider picking him up. But let's be honest, guys, we all have Cole Palmer anyway, and he's probably not going anywhere in our FPL teams. Odegaard probably would just look to avoid him, to be honest. Yeah, Everton, not an amazing fixture. They are a good defense, and Odegaard, you know, his attacking numbers aren't really good at all. I think there's just other opportunities for a cheaper price in the Arsenal attack at the moment. So seems a little bit of a weird transfer, Odegaard. Don't know why so many people are bringing him in. He's blanked 3 times in a row now. Yeah, strange transfer. Don't think I'd go there. Salah is interesting. I think, again, if you're looking for a high upside differential, you know, who could go nuclear in this game, well, we know Salah definitely has the potential to do that. And as such, maybe we even put him higher than De Bruyne. The issue with Salah is his price tag. And a lot of people are not going to be able to afford him without taking hits. And I don't think I would recommend necessarily taking hits to get Salah, but he is definitely a player who could do really, really well this game. Could be his final game for Liverpool. We don't know, of course, about that, but a home game for Mo Salah against a pretty decent Wolves fixture. You do expect points in this game, penalty taker as well. Yeah, it could be a really, really interesting one, and he's definitely a player who would be very, very high on my list of players to look out to buy this game week. Raya up next. If I had to go for a goalkeeper, it would quite possibly be him this week. Just get a nice, boring, clean sheet, but Raya's not going to get you much more than that. He doesn't get you save points. He doesn't get you bonus points. He's just like an okay goalkeeper to go for. If you really desperately do need a goalkeeper for this game week, then maybe you could go for him. But again, I probably would just look elsewhere. There's probably not going to be too many clean sheets in this game week. Arsenal will probably be one of them. Man City, a good chance of being another one of them. Outside of that, I think every other team is at serious risk of conceding multiple goals, to be perfectly honest. So, Raya, yes, there's some clean sheet potential there, but can we make better use of our transfers? And I think that's the question. With Raya, you are going to move a 2 or 3 point goalkeeper up to a 6 point goalkeeper. That's really the best you can hope for from him. Is there other areas, other transfers you can make that can give you more potential for even more points? I definitely think so. Erling Haaland, for example, if you don't have him, must buy. This West Ham team is just too bad. This Man City team is just too good. So it makes a whole lot of sense to get him in your team as an essential buy, even if you have managed to survive Game Week 37 without him. So far, so good, non-Haaland owners, but I might look to correct that against a massive, great fixture against West Ham. I really would. Ben White, decent amount of attacking potential in a game where you expect him to keep a clean sheet. He is going to be one of the better defenders to go for this game week, probably in the top 2 defenders to buy for Game Week 38. You're going to know who the other one is, of course, and we will get to them shortly. But Ben White, the fact that he is a defender, some people looking for defenders, the fact he has attacking potential, bonus points potential, even at that price tag, I think he's well worth going for in this game week. I think clean sheet is pretty much locked for Arsenal against Everton, so you've got that guarantee, and then everything else is a bonus, and you actually have that potential for that bonus, unlike a player like Raya, who is pretty much stuck at 6 points, 5 points if he gets a yellow card in a game as well. Next up, Heung-min Son. I don't think I can actually put him any higher than a good transfer, even though it is a game against Sheffield United, who have nothing to play for, probably playing with a little bit of freedom as well there. But I don't know if I'm that keen on Son this game week. I mean, the form has just not been there for him whatsoever. I guess the fact that Richarlison is out and Son will be playing as a central striker maybe increases his appeal a little bit. But overall, he's not a player I'd be desperate to buy. In fact, if you're looking to buy the likes of Salah, for example, or maybe Saka, someone like that, someone who's pretty expensive, and you want to sell Son, I think that's actually okay. I think I would prefer to keep Son, ideally, but I don't know if I'd move my whole team around to buy Son. I think there's going to be some better opportunities this game week, such as Phil Foden, who I definitely consider a must-buy option. He'll be nailed on in the final game of the season with so much on the line for Man City, and we know how effective he has been all season. Arguably player of the season in real-life terms, and definitely getting constant opportunities to score and assist. Another goal in game week 37, and his hot streak just continues and continues. So he's got to be a must-buy against a super weak West Ham defense. Nicholas Jackson is an interesting one. He has been in very good form recently at the moment, but I still am not convinced that I'd want to put him any higher than a good transfer. So we're going to put him in the good transfer category here, maybe alongside Son. I think this Bournemouth game is a little bit tricky, but in fairness, Bournemouth, not in the greatest form at the moment with not much to play for. Chelsea with more to play for. Chelsea have just had so many games recently. Jackson's had so many games recently. And with Nkunku back as well, could we see Jackson being moved out to the left wing, for example? Or will Nkunku play there? Not exactly sure. Chelsea fans, what do you think? Where will Jackson play if Nkunku's playing as well? How will these two players combine? Because I think the rest of the team is looking so good at the moment for Chelsea that, I don't know, there probably isn't too many changes you'd want to make to the team at the moment, but Nkunku's got to play, super impressive player whenever he has been on the pitch. So Jackson, definitely a good transfer. I don't think he is a must-buy. I don't think he's any higher than that. Pedro Porro is interesting. Definitely at least optional. The Sheffield United game, again, even though it's a good fixture, I don't expect Spurs to keep a clean sheet in any game week, but Pedro Porro offers you attacking potential and has been in some better form recently as well. Possible set pieces, depending on whether Maddison is on the pitch or not. We're going to put him in the optional category. Probably high optional. Very nice player to own. Not a player you would necessarily break your team apart to get to. He's okay. He's fine. We're happy to own Pedro Porro, but would we buy him? Probably not. Mateta, definitely an interesting one. If you're going for a cheap forward this game week, Mateta is definitely the one I'd go for. I think we've got to put him in the good transfer category. Feels a bit weird putting him higher than Isak and Palmer and Saka, so we won't do that, but I do prefer him to Eze. If you're going for a Crystal Palace attacker, I do prefer Mateta to Eze at this moment. Mateta just being in that central striker against this Aston Villa team is going to be very useful if Aston Villa continue to be, well, as weak defensively as they have been lately. Kai Havertz, if I had to go for an Arsenal attacker right now, it would be him. Even though I don't love this Everton fixture, what I do love is Havertz's continued good form. So he keeps going, getting points every single game week. Been really reliable. No fitness concerns there either. Nice week-long break between Arsenal's fixture in game week 37 and game week 38. So it'll be well recovered and rested, which will be nice to see for some Arsenal players. And, you expect if anyone's going to score in that Arsenal game against Everton, it's going to be Kai Havertz on the score sheet. He has been the main source of goals for this Arsenal team recently. Which brings us to our final two players. First of all, the super informed Elise. Really love this as a differential pump. So we are going to put him definitely in these kind of areas. In fact, if I had to buy a player from, Elise or Palmer this week, I probably would go for Elise. Yeah, really love this differential at really high upside set pieces as well. He often takes it over Eze. Could even be on penalties as well. He has been the penalty taker oftentimes, even when Eze has been on the pitch. So it's a little bit of confusion about who will be the penalty taker out of Elise and Eze, but it'll be one of them. If it's Elise, even better. But he is a really good set piece taker as well. And he just looks amazing whenever he's fit. I think he is more fit than Eze at the moment as well. Eze having a slightly more recent issue. So yeah, Elise against this Aston Villa team, particularly if they have nothing to play for, could be the super hyper differential that really gives you that massive boost in game week 38. So a really nice transfer there. And finally, Guardiola, yeah, he's not going to score a brace every game week, but when a defender is essentially playing as a left winger, we've got to definitely consider them, and you would put him in the same area as De Bruyne. I think De Bruyne has more potential this game week for sure, but Guardiola has definitely got to be a player who we speak about as well this game week. Really nice pick there, and for everyone who had him for game week 37, congratulations so far, because it really could get even better from here. Really nice pick, and phenomenal scores so far, and I think that's going to continue into Game Week 38, to be honest, and a really, really nice players to have. You know, we talk about this West Ham team being really weak defensively. Well, imagine you can get a defender who's going to score goals against them. That could be really, really huge. You know, huge opportunity here, even bigger opportunity than the week against Fulham. So, yeah, could be even bigger. Let's see. But look, he's probably not going to score a brace every week. Let's be perfectly honest. But one goal is good enough. You know, one assist is good enough for defenders. And you can get those really nice scores from players. So that is going to be the tier list for this week. Let me know what you think. Have we got things right? Is everyone in roughly the right position here? Would you change anything? And is there any other players that we haven't mentioned in today's video that you would like to place on the tier list? Let me know in the comments. Tell me the player you want on the tier list, and I will tell you where I would put them, and we can have some discussion there as well. But yes, guys, we are in the run-up to Game Week 38 and the final deadline of the season. Hopefully you have enjoyed this series this season. If you have, please do lend your support by dropping a like. Do subscribe if you haven't done already as well. But I will see you later on this evening for a stream after the Liverpool and Aston Villa game. Look forward to seeing you guys there. And until then, I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.